Continuing on from basics number 1, we're going to talk about simple calculations, copying a formula down so that we don't have to retype it over and over again, adjusting the decimal places, using the sum function from the built-in functions in Excel. So that's our topics that we're going to work on today. So the first thing that we want to talk about is just some simple calculations. So again, we've got our data set that we've been working on so far. I've got store A, store B. I've got the prices of all of my items, and I've got the quantity, so the amount that I have in ounces for each one of my items. So let's say in this next spot over, I want to calculate what the price per ounce is. So that would be called a unit cost. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type a formula in. So in order to type a formula in, I want to say, what does it equal to? What is it equal to? So I want to use the equal sign on my keyboard, and I'll say equal. Then I'm going to put my cursor over here to the $2.49 and highlight it. And then I'll use the backslash for my division key. And then I'm going to divide it by the quantity, and I'll push enter. So it's saying that item number 1, its cost is 17 cents per ounce. So in the second one, so let's try it one more time just to practice. So we'll say equals, we'll go over here, we'll pick the $3.39. We'll use the backslash, and we'll divide by the 20 ounces, and we'll say enter. So that one also was 20 cents or 17 cents per ounce. Now what I want to do is I don't want to have to keep copying that for the rest of the data, the other 28 items. So I'm going to copy that formula down. So I'm going to go over there to the corner where it had that dot. Now it's a plus sign. And I'm going to drag this down all the way down to the bottom. And it's going to copy the formula of taking the price from column B and dividing it by the number of ounces in column C. So there's my quantity, there's my price per unit. So maybe I want this to look a little bit better. I'm going to take the width of that top one, and let me spread it all the way out there so that it says quantity in ounces. And then here I'm going to type in unit price. And maybe I'll make that one a little bit wider just to make it look good. So we'll put unit price in there. I'll make this one just a little bit, this column width just a little bit wider. So now let's go over here and let's do the same thing for store B. So for store B, I'm going to start by doing equals 99 cents divided by 15 ounces. Enter. Then I'm going to take that formula and I'm going to copy it down to all 30 pieces of data. So all the way down to here. Then again, I'm going to fix these column widths so that it makes sense. So this column goes all the way over here to the edge of ounces. This one is going to be unit price again. Okay. So that's using a simple calculation. I'm going to make this one just a little bit wider. That's making a simple calculation. Notice that the dollar sign is still there as far as the price. The next thing that we want to talk about is let's talk about adjusting the decimal places. And so let's just take some numbers and let's just say I want to, and we'll just pick some numbers out. Let's take something like the 50 and let's divide it by 19. So let's take this cell and let's divide it by this cell. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say equals. I'm coming over and I'm taking the 0.5 and I'm dividing it by the 0.19. Enter. And so there's the number. So let's say that I follow my standard rounding rules, and my standard rounding rules say I want to go one more decimal than the current data is. And the current data is in cents, so it's got 2 decimal places. So I've got 2 decimal places, and so I should give my answer to 3 decimal places. Right now, I've got a total of 5 decimal places. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to look back to my format, and we're going to look at these two. One of them increasing. So look at what my cells are doing. They're getting wider and wider. I'm increasing the decimal places. This side, I'm decreasing the decimal places. So I'm going all the way down here. And we said we wanted to stop when we were at 3 decimal places. So I would stop there, and my final answer would be 2.671. So let's try that one more time. So one more time, I'm going to take some numbers. So this time, let's take something like the $2.99. So I'm going to say equal. I'm coming over here and I'm grabbing the $2.99, and I'm going to divide it by $6.49. So these are just hypothetical. We're just doing some practicing with the numbers, and I get 0.4607087883. Well, if I want, so when I'm highlighting that, let's go back and let's look at our decimal places. So under the home screen, go over here. So one of them goes more decimal places. The other direction goes less. It takes fewer decimal places. And so I'll come all the way down, and let's again go to 3 decimals. So notice what my number says, 0.4607. When I go down one more, it rounds for you, and it gives your final number as 0.461. So that's just some information about adjusting your decimal places so that you can give the numbers exactly how you want the numbers to show. The last thing that I wanted to do in this session was I wanted to do some summing with the built-in Excel functions. So up here in this bar, notice how it says f of x, and it says insert function. So let's go all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to come down to the bottom of the prices. And let's say I'm interested in, gee, I went to the store and I bought these 30 items. I wonder what my total cost was of purchasing those 30 items. So I want to sum that column. So I have my cursor down here on the sum. I pick this insert function command, and then a pop-up comes up that says insert function. So when I insert functions, I can select a category. So right now it comes up automatically with most frequently used, but we can use all. We're going to use statistical a lot. And so these are the different categories that the functions are set up under. If we're not quite sure what the name of it is or what category it would be in, we can just type a description up here in this box and press go. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to say sum, and I'll push go, and there is a function, and the function's name is sum. So I'll go over here, I'll click on sum, I'll click OK, and then it says, well, what numbers do you want to sum? So I want to start all the way up here with number 1, $2.49, and I'm going to highlight all of these all the way down to the 30 pieces of data. And then I'm going to pick OK. And it summed all of that up, came up with $150.10. So that's using the function button in Excel. So should we try that one more time? So one more time, I'll come over here to the price for my second store. I'll come up here to the function button. Right now, because we used it, it's here under the most frequently used, and so I highlight the sum, I pick OK, and then I need to come up with its range. So I'm going to start up here at 1. I'm going to highlight. I'm going to hold my left mouse button down. I'm going to highlight these all the way down to the end, all the way down here. Then I'm going to pick OK. I moved that out of the way so that I could see it. And it summed that all up, $132.98. If you know what your function is, if you've used it a million times and you know that it's called sum, so that you don't have to come up here and pick it out of the function list, I can just type it in. I'll put the equals key and I'll type in sum and look at the numbers that are over there. It says, oh, you want to do a sum. So I'm going to click on that. It adds all of my numbers up in the range. And so I can use these shortcuts by summing those values up, and then I can pick the values that I want to sum. I can highlight these again all the way from, and it doesn't matter if I go from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom. I can sum all those up and I can push enter, and it summed up the $132.98. Okay, so in this video, we talked about some simple calculations. We copied formulas down once we did that simple calculation. We adjusted the decimal places so that if we wanted more decimal places or less decimal places, and we used the sum function from the built-in Excel functions. Okay,